Yesterday, Google's over here trying to challenge the fabric of the universe. We've got this core CPI came out today as well. We'll talk about that, as well as Clean Spark delivered their monthly report for November. We're going to take a look at that as well. Let's get right into this thing. First of all, I'm going to start with a little meme here. This is actually on the X for Nanners. This is for any of you Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fans there in relation to that current event. But let's take a look at it real quick. So, okay, Google says it cracked a quantum computing challenge with a new chip. So this is huge. This is like AI level huge, except they don't have a consumer product yet. So, I mean, it's not quite as huge as that at this time. But I think we're going to quickly find ourselves in a space where quantum computing is outdoing AI here. And that's going to be pretty exciting. And it's going to do it with significantly less need for power, which caused us to see some drops in some of those power-related plays we've been involved in lately, like SMR had some pretty big drop yesterday and leading up to this event. Anyways, yeah, Google with their Willow chip, they've got a chip with 105 qubits on it, which are very unstable. And there are companies that are providing chips with more qubits, but Google is focusing on making those stable, making them as stable as possible, because qubits are known for being highly unstable. But this is one step closer to quantum computing, which did cause some turmoil in the crypto market yesterday. People freaking out, saying, "Oh, that's going to end Bitcoin." But I was listening to some commentators on that made a pretty good case for any attacks being directed first and foremost at fiat related cash sources, as that would have a significantly larger impact. Like if you're a malicious actor, you're going for the largest impact possible, right? Especially if you're attacking something on that scale. And fiat would be much more disruptive if it were to be, hacked in this way that they're saying Bitcoin would be hacked by quantum computing. So the fear is, or should be rather, that fiat would likely be the first place things get attacked, maybe even the market as a whole. So worrying about Bitcoin when quantum computing could potentially undo everything is really not much of an argument to sell it. Anyways, let's take a look at the calendar here. So we had core CPI today. That came out. The expectations were year over year 2.7, month over month 0.3, core at 3.3, and it came in just right in line. You can see here, this is on X. Anyways, came in line with 2.7, 3.3, and 0.3. So the market's kind of just chugging along as expected there. So anyways, let's take a look at Clean Spark. So they gave us their monthly report. They're now over 30 exahash. They're at 33.7 exahash as of November 30th. They've got an efficiency of 19.05 joules per terahash. They're only beaten by IREN in that respect. They produced 622 Bitcoin. Their hodl is now over 9,297. You can see CleanSpark here is actually still behind Riot and Tesla. Riot now has over 10,000, while CleanSpark has 9,297. They did flip Hut 8 and Coinbase, though, which is exciting because at the beginning of the year they had something like 4,000 or 5,000 Bitcoin, and now they're closing in on 10,000 Bitcoin. So that's very exciting there for CleanSpark. They're number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're number 5, so they're in the top 5 largest treasuries for publicly held companies right now. So that's very exciting for CleanSpark. So let's see what else is going on here. In November, they only sold 26 Bitcoin. Fleet operation, they got 33 exahash. And on the earnings call, they were mentioning that there is an option for them to go up to over 60 exahash next year. So that's very exciting. They're also looking at building their own new facilities in the Midwest of the United States now, as well as per the earnings call that went on the other day. So that's basically it. They're doing great. They're very efficient. They're mining as much or more Bitcoin than they were before the halving. They've got a treasury that is growing wildly. CleanSpark is poised and in a position to go higher. But they're not. But they're not going higher. They're up 1% today, but you can see over the last couple of weeks here, we're down a solid 27%. We've got the warrants hanging out just under $1 right now. Again, I wouldn't be too concerned about this. I can see this come down and then pop back up again. Let's take a look at the warrants. The warrants got to a place that I like. Okay, so they closed beneath the 382 level here, which was at $1.03. So I am saying that I think that now the warrants are likely on a course for 83 cents. And I'm watching that closely. I might nibble a little bit more around 83 cents on this, maybe even 84 cents, somewhere in here, and wait for it to either bounce off of this or break it, at which point I would be loading up pretty heavily around that low to mid 60 cents range. Anywhere below 67 and above 60, I will be loading up another few thousand of these bad boys here, looking for that dip to rip scenario on the clean spark warrants. Let's see what else is going on here in the space. Anything exciting? Mars up 4% today. That's pretty good. My calls are probably doing okay. Let's take a look real quick here. You won't be able to see it, but I can tell you what it's doing. It is, oh wow. Oh no, we got to talk about this. Never mind. Mara, I'm up from being negative 30 because of the last couple of days to being negative, negative 50 because of the last couple of days to being negative 30. Google, my calls are up 40%. So I bought calls on Google yesterday. All right, we're doing Google. We're switching gears here. Google up another 2.8, almost 3% today. So there is a very important pattern that is in this chart right now that I'm going to show you that is very exciting and is, don't you dare, hold on, that is very exciting and you're going to love this. So, okay, on the weekly, we got a cup and handle. Okay, we have a cup and handle. We've seen this play out before. We had the cup, it gave us a handle, and now we're getting the break, which is right here. We're getting the break. Okay, anyways, we get above 193, $200 is all but guaranteed, okay? All right, exciting. Where is Google going from here? So if we go to the bottom of the cup and we go to the brim of the cup, which is right here where it curled over and made a handle, if we do that, this cup and handle ends at $219.41. You better believe it's probably going to come up and tap 220 in that scenario, okay? In that scenario. Now we're above this here. On the daily, we are solidly above that neckline there. Solidly above that neckline there on the daily. That doesn't mean we can't come back and back test it before going higher, but I'm long on Google. I bought out till March, and it is up 40% just today. If this thing gives me any kind of curl back at all, I will be loading up more calls on Google for March, potentially even further into 2025, maybe even July. Of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. But the instant I saw this news about the quantum computer, about the fact that they are going to give NVIDIA a run for their money, the fact that they are making something nobody's ever made before, they're making it faster than everyone expected, and they're doing it better than everyone else. Who does that sound like? That sounds like NVIDIA. That sounds like a 10x for Google. That sounds like everyone is going to want a piece of Google going forward, okay? Google just made itself potentially the most relevant company on the market. And it only got 4% off that news. Meanwhile, Tesla's CEO goes and supports, a presidential candidate, and we see this thing rip 100%. I'm not saying Tesla's a bad company, almost 100%, 90%. I'm not saying Tesla's a bad company. I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve this valuation based on what it could achieve. I'm saying it hasn't achieved any of those things really yet. A lot of those things are still in the pipeline, still somewhere in the future, still it hasn't become something that you can, physically interact with quite yet. And they're up 100% off a hype, whereas Google just did something nobody's ever done before that is going to be on the level of changing the world like AI did, and they went up 4%. If this thing doesn't also do 100% in the next 6 months, I don't know what everyone is thinking, unless they lied about what they did. Then in that case, obviously, yeah, they don't deserve that valuation. But if what they're doing is real and it proceeds as quickly as I suspect it's going to, with the tools they have at hand, this is going to be absolutely like world changing, possibly change the direction of us as an entire species. Like what they're talking about, what they're doing is insane. Okay. Anyways, moving on. I was absolutely floored. I was stunned by that news for a little while and the implications of it. So Google's on my list, and it's gonna stay there. And I think it's gonna go over $200. And I think it's gonna do it quickly, especially. So we've got two patterns down here. We got an inverted head and shoulders, right? Inverted head and shoulders, and we got the cup and handle. Okay, the inverted head and shoulders ends at 193. The cup and handle ends at 219. Okay, so there's room to the upside. Will it continue to run here without pause? Probably not. We might see a pullback. We might see it retest the top of the brim of that cup at 184, and then carry on. But I do think my target right now is about 220, and I'm going to put a mark on the calendar, on the chart for that. 220 is my mark right now for this. That's what I'm looking at. And how much is that up from where we started? So we started down here. That is up 20. That's only a 23% gain. That's only a 23% gain on potentially universe-changing news. Okay, so yeah, that's not that big of a deal. 23%, it could do it. Anyways, let's go back to some Bitcoin miners. I got a little too excited there. Riot's up 7% today. That's very exciting. Let's see. I was requested to add a few to my positions here. So Canaan, BitDeer, DeFi Technology. So Canaan's been on an absolute tear right now. I was actually requested to do this actually when it was back at $1, and I've been so busy I haven't been able to get to it. Since then it's run up 220%. That's pretty good. But I would say it's probably time for a pullback off of 220%. We might see, since this one's front running all of its peers, I would expect it to do a little bit of a dippy before any further rippy here. Yeah, we're way up there. I would expect it maybe to come to the 21. Now, of course, as long as it holds the 5-day moving average, this green line right here at 261, as long as it's holding that, it can continue to run up. It can continue. This could be the dip, and if it comes up and takes out $3, well, we could see it going to this peak back here around 350, maybe even this peak back here around $4. So it doesn't mean it's over just because it's up 220%. It just means that if we lose the momentum, that'll come back to the 21. If the 21 doesn't hold, then the 200. That's all that means. We see that momentum is kind of peeling off here, so I would want to see this 5-day hold. If this were not to hold, I would expect it to come to the 21 at $2.12. I'm seeing heavy support down here at about 182, which is actually where I already have a line. I've looked at this before. When did I look at this? Yeah, this is where I would expect support, 180, 181. If it were to drop hard, and if it ticks out $3, I'd expect $4 to come very quickly on Canaan. Let's take a look at BitDeer. I've never looked at BitDeer, actually, so I don't think I have any drawings on this. This one is also on an absolute tear. Let's see, from trough to peak here, we went up 330%. So I would likely be expecting this to cool off a bit. Again, though, I'd watch the 5-day moving average. As long as it holds $19, it can continue to rip higher. If it loses $19, then it comes down to the 21-day moving average down there at 1482. It's the 21 EMA, by the way. But the way this candle is forming right now, I'm expecting this to be a 5-day EMA dip into a rip, because if we get a hammer candle at the bottom of this move, I would expect it to come back and test the top again, or at least try to test the top again at $23 there. Also, so momentum is kind of curling over on the daily. It is looking a little bit wispy there. We are in currently, let me turn off all the EMAs and stuff. We are currently, and if I go to like a 3-day or something, we're currently higher than it's ever been before. So there's that. We're at an all-time high. So I would expect it to potentially come back to 1480 and retest these highs back here from earlier this year before carrying on for BitDeer. So I wouldn't touch it right now. It's a little bit heated. It is front-running many of its peers. I would expect it to probably do some kind of a pullback before it goes higher. That would just make sense. Now, of course, it could do like Core Z, and Core Z just took off and just never stopped taking off. So, take it with a grain of salt, but I would expect some kind of a respite out of this move before going higher. And this might be it, hitting the 5-day and then bouncing. That could be it. That is absolutely acceptable. So if we get a hammer down here at the bottom of the move, yeah, I might expect it to try to test the highs at 23 again before doing anything else. And that's that for that. And then DeFi Technologies, I can't really remember what this was, but it was asked that I check it out. Same sort of situation. It's up. It's front running all of the peers here in this space. It is up currently 152%. It did dip below its 5-day moving average, unlike what Canon and Bitdeer have not done, which is they have not dipped below the 5-day moving average. So that concerns me a little bit on this one. We got a doji and not much of a up move today. So again, watching the 5-day moving average on this thing, if you're in this thing, at 323. If it stays above 323, I stay bullish. It gets below 323, I look for it to drop down to the 21, which is currently at 274, which would represent, in this case, a 15% drop, which isn't too bad. And if it were to show strength there, I'd start loading up, looking for it to run back for this high here at 369. And if it did not show strength, I'd expect it to come to the 200 down at 220. And that's basically all there is to it. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's trying to run for $100,000. Again, we're going and doing this sideways action here. As long as this trend line holds here, I'm feeling like this is a flat top triangle that could see us break out to the upside, which would be kind of a bull flag. And if it is a bull flag, let me turn these off. When you do a bull flag, of course, you get the length of the pole, and you put that on top of the move, on top of the flag, and that is your move. In this case, I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit because it's going to go way, way higher than I think. So if I go down here, here's the pole. Here's the midpoint there for the flag-ish, that area where we like really got our flag going, about $130,000. So yeah, we could easily do that just based off this current formation on Bitcoin. What about the Pi cycle top? How's that going? Yeah, we got all the way up here at 128. Oh, hey, look, that looks familiar, doesn't it? So this bull flag could take us to the Pi cycle top, the top MA, which isn't the end of the run. It's just an area where it tends to either consolidate or, hang out for a little bit before carrying on. One last thing, XRP. So if you're watching XRP, and I'm really not watching it as closely as I have in the past, but it came down to a very crucial level right here at 190. If you remember, I mentioned 190 was a potential buy zone for XRP. It tapped it with perfection and bounced. So that is great. We're currently above the 5-day moving average, which means all we have to do is, right now, it will likely run for 264. And if it conquers 264, we're going to run for 290s again on XRP. All right. But it came to the 21-day, which is a solid bounce. So here's what I'm watching to know which way I think it's going to go. That's not the tool I want. This is the tool I want right here. We got to actually, I got drawings on this already. Okay, this trend line right here. So this is in a channel, right? This is a channel right here and right there. Okay, this is a channel that it's in right now. When it breaks out of this channel, which is this green line right here, when it breaks out of that channel, it's going to run for the top of the channel, which is at 290. It conquers that, then we're open up to 350 on XRP. Okay, that is all there is to it. You can see we came right down to my fib line right here at 190, tapped it, and then carried on. That is great. This is the 618, by the way. The 618 is basically the golden pocket area where you would want to load up and go higher. It stayed there for who knows how long. Let's go to a 30-minute chart. How long was it down there? It was down there for about an hour and a half before it just rocketed back up. So you had a very short window to pick this thing up. If you were not watching this from the hours of Tuesday, December 10th from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, then you missed it, which is kind of just part of crypto. And that's why you would have your limit orders set to buy this thing at that 190 level to load up and go higher. It's definitely important to learn how to do limit orders and stop losses and all of that stuff for this space. Anyways, that is all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. I've also got a link in there for a charity that a friend of mine is doing. His Instagram handle is Anthony Cycles. He is doing a cycling campaign for charity for Tourette's syndrome as well as cancer research. So go ahead and check out that link if you are feeling in the giving mood for those charities. I'll have that link. That'll be the first link in the description. And with that said, have a profitable day.